Guys, we're in space. We finally made it. We're in the International Space Station.
Jackie!
Yes?
Jackie Wong! I'm scared.
It's okay. As long as we have our seatbelts on, nothing bad can happen to us.
I need a seatbelt! Jackie!
The atmosphere. The layers of gases that surround and protect our Earth. It is composed of around 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and the rest is a mixture of argon, CO2, methane, and H2O. When the Earth was formed, the atmosphere was not the same as we know it today. In fact, 4.5 million years ago, it was similar to the ones that surround Saturn or Jupiter. However, scientists believe that it was blasted away by the sun. The atmosphere we have today started to form as gases such as carbon dioxide and nitrogen were released by volcanoes. Oxygen was not yet present. As oceans formed, the CO2 began to absorb into the water, which is why nitrogen is the most common element in the atmosphere. The remaining CO2 encouraged plant growth, which started the flow of oxygen. As more plants grew, more oxygen joined the atmosphere.
The exosphere. This is the outermost layer of our atmosphere, sitting at about 700 kilometers above sea level. It merges straight into outer space. Oh my god! Oh my god!
The thermosphere. The thickest layer of the atmosphere, it sits between 80 to 500 kilometers above sea level. It can reach between 1,500 to 3,000 degrees Celsius. If you've heard of the northern lights, this is the layer it happens in. It's when particles in the thermosphere collide with particles from Earth's magnetic field and create a bright and really pretty glow in the sky. That's really pretty.
It's so hot! The mesosphere. This is the third layer of our atmosphere, sitting at about 50 kilometers to 80 kilometers above sea level. The temperatures here can go as low as negative 100 degrees Celsius. This layer is where shooting stars appear. Debris from space falls into the mesosphere, where there's so much friction of particles that they all burn.
The stratosphere. This is the fourth layer of our atmosphere as it sits around 50 kilometers above sea level at its peak. Temperatures here go only as high as 0 degrees Celsius. Here there are sometimes a couple of wispy clouds of ice in the polar regions as air is very dry compared to the troposphere. The stratosphere acts as a barrier to help contain moisture in the troposphere and block radiation from the sun. Here in the stratosphere is where the very important ozone layer sits. Made up of 12 ozone molecules per million, this ozone layer absorbs ultraviolet radiation from the sun. The lower level of the stratosphere can reach as low as 55 or negative 55 degrees Celsius. Here at about 10 kilometers above sea level is where passenger planes fly, to avoid the strong wind currents in the upper troposphere.
The troposphere. This is the last layer of our atmosphere, and it is on average 10 kilometers thick, though it ranges from 8 kilometers thick at the poles and 16 kilometers thick as it nears the equator. The average temperature at the bottom is 15 Celsius, and the average temperature at the top is negative 55. This is because the temperature drops about 6.5 Celsius for every 1 kilometer increase in altitude. Gas molecules here are very condensed because of the pressure from the upper atmospheres. Thus, it is the most dense layer in our atmosphere, holding about 80% of our entire atmosphere's mass. Because almost all of the water vapor in the atmosphere is here, it contains most of the clouds, which is why weather takes place in this layer. In addition, here is where most of the dust in our atmosphere is held, including pollutants, pollen, and ash.